After sweeping Super Sunday in Rio, can the Bons Flying Roos do it again at the birthplace of the F50? Welcome to Bermuda.
The Great Sound becomes SailGP's racetrack, where the price of a podium is paid in risk. Push for one extra click of speed and get it right, you're a hero.
So good.
Push too far,
Disaster!
and you become just another wreck in Bermuda's waters. Tom Slingsby and the Bons Flying Roos arrive clear at the top, but can they hold on to first place? Will Emirates GBR bounce back? Can the United States claw their way into contention? Or will Bermuda deliver a new contender to the podium? It's all to play for at the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix.
And welcome to Event 5 of the 2026 season for SailGP. Alongside Hannah Diamond and Stevie Morrison, I'm Todd Harris. All right, Hannah, let's get right to it. Practice racing on Friday in Bermuda, sensational conditions.
Yeah, really kind of typical Bermuda conditions. We know that the weather's super reliable here, an amazing racetrack, and it's really setting up the scene for a great weekend of racing.
I don't want to say who picked Spain right out of the gate, but they had a great practice day, Stevie. Los Gallos looks very good out on the water.
Yeah, a bit of a spoiler alert, because you normally ask me that at the end of the show. So to come straight in with it, yeah, Los Gallos look brilliant. I think, flat water venue, like Hannah says, it's just pretty perfect sailing for the F50. They've got to push the boats to limits. We saw that on the water in the practice racing, and yeah, really enjoyable. So fingers crossed it's going to stay good for the weekend.
All right, before we move forward on event number 5, we want to take a quick look back on event 4. That was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. A long-awaited event for SailGP. Remember, it got postponed a year, so we came back. I guess my biggest takeaway, and you guys can agree or disagree, has got to be the performance of the Bons Flying Roos, Stevie, on Sunday, clean sweep.
Yeah, I think never seen that before, that someone wins all the races there. I think, that'd be a takeaway. I don't know what you thought, Hannah. Still a takeaway for me is how some of the teams, North Star, Switzerland, Rebel Italy, they're perhaps struggling to find their feet in this new season.
Yeah, I mean, we can't take anything away from the Bons Flying Roos. That was a really unbelievable day. And actually, if you think about it, one of the most unlikely venues that you'd see a team take a clean sweep, really difficult conditions, right underneath Sugarloaf Mountain, with a configuration that we hadn't seen before with those small rudders and the big wings. So very impressive from them, but it's a long season and they're going to need to completely make sure that they're consistently improving their performance to stay at the top of the leaderboard.
The conditions aside and the racing aside, what did you think of the venue? I mean, is this a place you definitely think SailGP should go back to?
100%. I mean, look at the backdrop. You've got Sugarloaf Mountain right there. A lot of the sailors are super familiar with the venue from the Rio 2016 Olympics, so I'm sure it's a fan favourite for the sailors themselves. But I think what an absolute incredible backdrop and such great vantage points from all around the racecourse as well.
So, Stevie, tip of the spear, you have the Bons Flying Roos looking so good, but at the very back, surprisingly, the defending champions, Emirates GBR, had an absolute shocker.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? I mean, I don't know who does bet on SailGP. I know it is a thing, and I don't think many people would have picked that for the weekend. I mean, they've looked absolutely phenomenal. I think anyone watching at home would be thinking just quite how untouchable they are, but they showed they've got some faults. They'll have gone away and worked on it, I'm sure, and this weekend we'll find out if the wheel's back on.
Well, Emirates GBR, they are the defending champions from Season 5, but in Rio just a month ago, really struggled, and they finished in their worst position in the history of SailGP.
Emirates GBR, I mean, they've been in a final, every final since the middle of the summer last year. Now, there is no chance Emirates GBR are making the final 3 boats here in Rio.
That's a fucking shocker.
Starting in Rio wasn't good enough, but the unusual factor was we then weren't able to pull through, whereas other times we've seen plenty of top teams have bad starts but pull through, but being bad at starting and slow is not a good recipe for a good weekend.
We gotta come down, down. We're just gonna have, got that wrong.
Reality was there was very few overtaking options on the racecourse. It was kind of a one-way track going left, and boat speed, as we saw from the Australians, was actually, it was a boat speed venue. Being honest, we thought it was going to be all about tactics.
Recently, Emirates GBR have been unplayable. We see them in the middle top of our screen, and they're just sat wallowing in the water under Sugarloaf.
The margins are so tight, and the fleet, the sailing, the level is so high that, just a few things not going quite right can really put you in a bad spot.
It was very painful, and we were just trying to get through it. It was almost comical, to be honest, how bad it went.
That was absolute shocking.
They're way faster on board the United States.
And you see the level within SailGP, and you don't deliver anything that you normally do well, then it's obvious that you're not going to have a good result.
You see the frustration on the faces of Dylan Fletcher, Hannah Mills, and company.
Boat speed's something that's probably come pretty naturally to us as a team, and so to not have that, I think, was actually really distracting for everyone.
I did a terrible job. I wasn't looking and making decisions. I focused on everything else.
It was quite eye-opening, I think, and I think sometimes you kind of need to have those moments to really focus the team, reset, and really concentrate on some of the areas that have maybe always been there but maybe been glossed over because sometimes the performance kind of shadows that.
The focus going into Bermuda is around trying to get back to our sort of strong, consistent starts, and then mainly, you know, the teamwork, keeping the team in a good place, solving the problem, and we kind of know that if we all deliver in our role and work well as a team, then the results will take care of themselves.
So Hannah, this is your former team. What do you think went wrong? Or was it just one thing or multiple things?
Well, I think Rio, we probably could have predicted that it was going to be a venue that tripped up one team, but we weren't definitely going to say that it was Emirates GBR. They'd been so strong at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to hear from both Dylan and Hannah there say how it wasn't the venue that they expected. And we have a saying quite often in sailing that boat speed makes you a tactical genius. And then if you suddenly don't have that boat speed, it really puts you in a corner and on the back foot. But I think the other thing that Hannah said from that interview there was just about how it makes you have those hard conversations when you have a difficult weekend like that. And it's all about how you bounce back. We've seen teams do it before, so I don't think they'll be too worried about this weekend.
One team that's having a great season is US SailGP team. Stevie, I'll start with you. What do you think you can attribute the turnaround to?
They made some big calls mid to end of last season. Like they pretty much not totally changed the roster, but you know, they got Andrew Campbell in, they got Mike Menninger. You know, they sort of got some new coaching staff in, you know, Marcus Lynch and Ivan Bajera, you know, who's a real top data analyst. I think they just, yeah, they took off the plaster to heal the problems, you know, and they did that pretty blatantly, and then they've gone from there. And then this season, it's sort of fitted their super strengths.
Right.
You know, not to be disrespectful, like they've been brilliant, haven't they? You know,
yeah.
But Taylor's phenomenal at starting, especially in the light winds. There's been a lot of that. Starting percentage for them is really, really good. And yeah, I don't know what you think, Han, but I just think that it's played into their hands, and I feel this weekend, this is when we'll find out exactly where they are. They're absolutely better than last year, and all you ever really want is incremental gains. Is third position now flattering with the season as a whole? They totally deserve to be there. We'll find out if they are kind of that good in the full range of conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I think their kind of super strength was originally in that non-foiling conditions only, and they've definitely stretched that up the wind range. But I think that this weekend, they've got a bit of a task because there's a lot of people still questioning their ability, their level when it's a little bit breezier. And so I think if they can have a solid weekend this weekend, they will really answer a lot of those questions and get some of the demons off their back. And I think it's a very different team to we were sat here discussing last year.
Yeah, and they were decent, you know, in practice. They were decent. They were decent on day one in Perth, where there was a bit of breeze. They struggled when it was really windy. They'll be in the mix, but you know, this event's going to be quite a benchmarker.
Well, we gave the fourth member of our broadcast team, Lisa Darman, the mission to find out exactly where the USA are and how they're feeling coming into this weekend's event.
Taylor, you guys have had an awesome season so far. I imagine you're just here to keep the momentum. And what's working so well for you guys?
Yeah, it's been an awesome season so far. You know, to be back in Bermuda is amazing. This race course is awesome. So crystal clear water and great breeze, and yeah, we're just excited for the opportunity and kind of stretch our legs a little bit and a little more wind, which we haven't had in a little bit. So yeah, we're excited for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Let's take a look at the season standings coming into Bermuda. It is the Bonds Flying Roos with a 7-point lead, and that's what a clean sweep of the last event can do for you. Emirates GBR, the defending champions, they sit in second place. US SailGP in the top three. That is great news for them. And to Stevie's point, the turnaround they've had this year. And then you have Los Gallos, the winners of season 4. And Artemis, for my money, Hannah and Stevie, they have been very impressive. First season now, Nathan Outridge is not new to the sport, but that's put together a team, and they're in the top 5, and they've already made a final.
I think for me, Artemis is a team where if they could just have an extra day's sailing or an extra couple of hours at each venue, that would make a massive difference to their overall result. We see in practice racing, they're they're so close to being so much better. But I think as the season goes on, they will progress. But I just feel like there's a few little things they need to iron out to really make that next jump up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I think Artemis have done really well. Probably a bit of a statement. I think if you've got any hope of making the grand final, you've got to beat Bons Flying Rouge, Los Gaios, and Emirates GBR. Those three, I think, are a notch above everyone else. You know, that they've all missed one final. Spain only missed one because they didn't have a boat.
Right.
So yeah, those three teams to me look a jump ahead of the rest of the fleet. So yeah, if you want to get to the grand final, which I guess is why we're doing it.
Yeah. Let's spin forward then, Stevie. Let's talk about Bermuda quickly. What makes this not only enchanting and you want to sail here, but what makes it tricky?
Oh, it's just tricky because it's no margin for error. You've got to be basically perfect in your handling, and any mistake's going to be punished. Now, you're supposed to be the best in the world, but of course everyone else is the best in the world. So it gets hard, doesn't it? You know, everything that other people aren't going to be making a mistake. So going to push the boats really hard. The course is a little bit bigger than we've seen. Hannah will probably give us a bit of an insight into the course map anyway.
Yeah, so the course for practice racing today, really interesting course because it became kind of one-sided quite quickly. We've got a slightly different forecast across the 2 days this weekend, but really important to get that left turn at the bottom. And then the top marks today, gate 3 was tucked right up underneath the shore. So if you could make that left turn and hit the boundary, it was fine, but it was absolutely lethal. If you were slow around that left turn and then had to make another maneuver, then it was really difficult to get away. We saw some big gains and losses, but I do think even with different conditions tomorrow, we are going to see that there will be a bit of a follow my leader towards the end of the course, making it really important to get off the line well, get to Mark 1 in a good position, and then stretch your legs from there.
It's a meters game, Todd. Detail. Devil's in the detail this weekend. You've got to be super accurate. You've got to really push it, and you're going to get hammered if you get anything a little bit wrong.
And as we all know, it's all about consistency, too. You can always have one bad race. You can't have two. So what everyone really wants to know is what the conditions will be. And for that, we check it again with Lisa Darmanin.
Thanks, Todd. Well, it's going to be a fantastic weekend here in Bermuda. It is great to be back. We're expecting the wind to be around 22 kilometres per hour from the east on Saturday, so fairly flat water and beautiful conditions. Sunday, it's going to be a little lighter and swing around to the south, but it's also going to be fairly even across the racetrack, which means I'm expecting it more to be a speed race out here, so really optimising the F50. The other thing, a bit of a tactical game, so boat-on-boat situations are going to be critical. That's where the meters are going to be made, but it's going to be a fantastic weekend of racing here in Bermuda. Where else would you rather be?
All right, thanks a lot, LD. Before we wrap things up, I've got to get predictions. Stevie, I think I already know where you're going.
I've already told you. Spain are going to win it. Australia will be in the final. My roll of the dice, I'm going to roll for Rockwool.
Oh, okay.
Top 3, but I think they'll be third.
Okay.
Third Rockwool, second Australia, Los Gaios take the win.
And?
I wouldn't put Rockwool up there in the final this weekend. I think you need to execute at a higher level than we've seen from them. I think the final will be DS Team France, Los Gaios and Bons Flying Rouge. But I think if we look at practice racing, it's going to be really tough to tell the difference between the Spanish and the Australians.
Todd?
No love for Artemis?
Come on, Todd.
No love for Artemis?
Your chance.
I'm just saying.
Todd love.
I'm just saying Artemis, I think, will be in the mix. I think somehow Nathan Outers will find a way, and this might be the week, to Hannah's point, they push on through. So we'll find out. All right, that is your preparation. You are good to go now. You've got all the intel. So for Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, I'm Todd Harris. Enjoy the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. We'll see you when it all wraps up.